Hi, I'm your host, Erica Polsinelli, and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast, where we talk all things spirituality, ascension, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you are here. Come on in. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here and tuning in each week. It means the world to me. I love having these conversations with you. I wanted to share a little bit about what Evolve by Erica, the app, has to offer and some things that might pique your interest right now on your journey of evolution. So, on the app, we have micro meditations that are under 5 minutes, breath express meditations that are under 10 minutes, and then we have longer and deeper practices to really help you go deep on your healing and spiritual journey. Something new that we've just added is meditating with your cycle. So we have meditations by intensity level and by intention. And what each part of our feminine cycle and our menstrual cycle brings, these meditations are there to support you through. Of course, it's never taken as a rule or a law. It's just there to support you in your evolution. And you can always take what works and leave the rest. There are so many resources available, but definitely check that out. I'm also adding some recipes there too, things that I've been incorporating to honor my cycle depending on the phase that I'm in. I hope you enjoy. And don't forget, if you're not a member already, you can always access a 7-day free trial and try out these life-changing meditations. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you next time. Okay, I'm ready, centered, just tuned in. I had a wild morning this morning. I was just telling Ashley, who produces the podcast, it was just like one of those mornings that it just felt different than it usually does. Usually things feel very centered and grounded and smooth. And today I literally felt a cortisol spike in my body and it just felt odd. I'm going to do a whole other podcast about that. But it's interesting because it's also super humbling. It's like, yes, that's right. I am a human and I still experience the things that, yes, maybe I've conquered so much of, but there's always a need for the practice. And it's actually a powerful reminder of why it's so important. So I just tuned in and I'm feeling so cozy and centered. I'm here in the podcast studio with my feet up on the chair in easy pose. And I just felt like, I needed to ground as always. I'm excited to be here with you guys today. I wanted to talk about a topic that I think is so important to us, whether we use it for work, use it for play, but I wanted to talk about social media and what it's doing to our brain, because we are so connected by this super amazing tool and resource. And with every single thing in life, it presents the lightness and the darkness because we are living on the planet with polarity. So, for example, I was on the beach the other day. It was the most stunning experience. Like, there was zero wind. There were like barely any waves. It was this peaceful, calm stillness that you don't always find at the beach. Sometimes the wind is whipping, sometimes the waves are huge and crashing. And it was the most pristine conditions, according to my opinion, of course. Yet there were flies everywhere because the wind wasn't there to keep them away and to blow them and keep it moving. So you would just get bitten up by these flies. And I started to think about how this is truly such a planet of polarity. The most beauty, the situations, the experiences, the relationships, all the things that hold the most beauty also have those depths as well, and the shadow side of it. And the shadow side here were the flies that were eating me up, and I just wanted to enjoy the most serene experience, or what I think is the most serene experience at the beach. So social media is of the same because it's on this planet of polarity, and it is this lightness and darkness. Let's go with the lightness first. Very obvious. It's incredible how connected we are to one another. I don't know how I would have been able to leave my career and do what I do now if it wasn't for social media. Everything for me has truly come from a space of sharing organically and authentically with a community on there, and we've created such an amazing community together. So there's this space of connecting, of being able to connect and feel close to people that we would never be able to be close to or have this inside look in their life unless it was for social media. And I think it's brought so much information, so much wisdom, so much insight, and it's the age of information. So of course, this is a tool of the age of information that's helping us to share information, consume information, receive information at the quickest amount of time possible. And of course, there's good things about that and bad things about that, but we're focusing on the lightness right now. And it really has helped us to accelerate as a human race so much quicker in so many ways. We have access to so much more information. It's like we can know anything that we want to. And with that, there's also this energy of, with everything that is right, you could find something wrong with that as well. It's like the best diet could also be shared as the worst diet. The best, whatever it may be. It's just, again, the polarity. And it's so interesting to have this as a tool to work with as well. In my line of work, a lot of my work is related to social media and getting my message out there. And with that, it requires a lot of time on there. And I've noticed that I spend a lot of time that's not working, and I have to call myself out on that and be like, this is not productive. You need to stop scrolling, move on, and focus on this as a tool to connect, get your message out there, connect with loved ones. And then that is it, because we could really get wrapped up into the rabbit hole. But recently, I started to think about how multidimensional we are as human beings and multidimensional beings, and how on Instagram, we're literally looking at other people's lives thinking we know everything they do in a day and all about their life, when really we're probably seeing less than 1% of their experience. And we form these different opinions and thoughts on what we're seeing. And now this is a little bit of a bug out, but I want to go there. So I've always heard spiritual teachers say there are many different versions of us that exist. So we know one version of ourselves, but there are thousands of different versions that exist. And I started to sit with this because at first it did not make sense to me at all. I couldn't wrap my head around that, and that's frequency. Like sometimes we can't wrap our heads around teachings or thought processes or ideas until our frequency shifts, and then we can see that in a different way. And I actually went to a speaking event. Deepak Chopra was leading it at the Well, and he was bringing up this fact. And what I saw in that moment was all the different versions of us that exist because of the perspective of everyone who knows us and that sees us and that views us. So you listening right now have this idea of me in your head that can be completely different than the idea I have of myself. Completely different than the idea my mom has of me. Completely different than the idea my dad has of me. All of these versions live and exist based off of, it's really a reflection of the viewer and the experiences they've had in their life, plus what I'm putting out. And then this conjure of information that they collect or data they're collecting based off their past, their experiences, what they're seeing, how they're interpreting that, a new version of me forms. And it's a very interesting concept. So this brings me to that idea of the truths. So I'm using me as an example because I'm speaking on this podcast, but this relates to everyone and anyone that we're watching on social media and anyone in our life. Your idea of your mother or your father or your sibling and who you think they are as a person and what you think their traits are is going to be different between every other person that knows them based off of those things that I shared before, the data that they've collected, the data other people collect. And these are the multiple versions that exist of ourselves out there in the world, which is wild. So we have this idea that while we're on social media and we're looking at someone, we know everything about them, we know what they're like, we know what their days are filled with, but really, again, we're only just seeing a very small percentage of that. And I think what social media has done for us, it's given us insight, it's given us inspiration from people. We've heard very intimate stories shared through social media, very intimate experience and moments shared. Sometimes it brings clarity, sometimes it brings grief. But one of the shadow sides of it is the comparison that comes with social media. So we're sitting on our phones, we're looking elsewhere. We are in someone else's reality, feeling like we're right there with them through anything they're experiencing. And it's human nature to compare your experience to theirs. That's just what we do to relate to other people, even in conversation. Sometimes when someone's talking about a situation they had, the first thing we want to do is say how we relate to it, how we've experienced. We want to have that connection. We want to feel connected to someone else. And that can actually, the connection is the light side, and the shadow side is the comparison, where we can start to compare. And I had this vision the other day, and that's what really guided this topic of conversation for the podcast, of we really, and I'm scared as I say this because I don't want this future, but we're really not so far away from wearing headsets and walking through a virtual reality. We're really not that far from that. We're closer to that than we are far from it. And some of us aren't even on social media, and maybe you're living a very present life in this 3D realm. But a lot of us are on these platforms, experiencing life through the lens of other people's iPhone cameras or our iPhone camera. And I just had this vision and startling reality that we're really not that far away from something I'm not hoping for our future, because I don't know what that would be like and look like. And of course, the unknown is always scary. But I just saw that vision of we're already doing that. We're already living through our screen in such a big way. And it shook me because, again, like I said, that's not really what I want for our future or for my future. Maybe other people will want that and want to live in the metaverse, and maybe the technology will bring so many incredible things. But I think the thing that I took from this is, wow, how can I challenge myself to step away and be so present? How can I challenge myself in the most beautiful moments to not feel the need to grab my phone and share it, but to enjoy all of its bliss and then share it a later time? Because life is happening right here and right now through our eyes, through our third eye, through the experience of our physical body and our multidimensional being. And we water that experience down when we grab the technology. We take away from that present moment because we instantly think, oh, someone else should see this. Someone else should experience this. Look at what I'm experiencing. I love it so much and I want to share it with you. But isn't there so much power in just sitting in that moment and enjoying it for ourselves? Because these moments are so fleeting and life moves so quickly. Time is moving so freaking quickly. And as I said before, the comparison is such a real thing. We're looking at other people and what they're eating and what they're wearing and what they're buying and what they look like, what workout they're doing, what meditation they're doing. And we're feeling the need, sometimes some of us are feeling the need to do whatever it is they're doing. Guys, I have a freaking spoiler alert. Everyone is just sharing from their level of experience and consciousness. They are on a different timeline than you. And what's working for them right now might have worked for you 3 years ago, might work for you 3 years from now, or might work for you right here and right now. But you have to be able to have the consciousness to see that, because otherwise we are going to be pulled in every direction, round and round we go on the merry-go-round, to find what actually works for us right here and right now because of all the noise. So I think the point of this topic and this conversation is to be so intentional with how we consume information and energy from social media, how we're consuming it, what we're consuming, how it's making us feel, and then remembering the most important thing. your intuition, everything being within you that you have access to. So being able to have the noise around you, listen to some of the noise that you're guided to, that uplifts you, that helps you to feel good, maybe triggers you to help you to grow too. The other thing is the more we start to hear something or see something, there's this level of brainwashing that occurs, or conditioning or programming. And we start to believe that it's what we need because it's what other people are saying they need. And again, the idea of intuition and the ability to be able to tune into if that's really true for you is so important, because it could really take us off of our path and away from our path. And I think by having moments to come within, Om Namo Gurudev Namo, being able to tune the outside out and come within to your own inner wisdom, and using the breath work to activate the brain, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland to activate our intuition. Those are all moments that help us come back to ourselves in this very noisy world right now. So the other aspect of this is, I saw this post last week. I was going to repost it, but I was just telling Ashley while right before I was recording, I have very sensitive energy. And sometimes when I share something, I can feel the ripple of it in my body after posting it. And sometimes to me, it's just not worth going there. And that's why I have the podcast, to talk to you about all my deepest little things that I don't want to share on social media or talk about on social media, because I just feel like we have a safe bubble here. But I saw this post. It was a post about a girl was reporting, like, my husband went to play golf, and it was time stamped about like how long it was taking him to get home, how he said he'd be home at 3 o'clock. It's now 4 o'clock. He's still not home. And if you're a golf wife, you kind of might understand golf is a really long game and it's like a whole day thing. And I think there was this whole dialogue on social media about that, like wives being like, oh, great, he's going golfing. I'm not going to see him the whole entire day. So this girl was sharing this reel and reporting on her experience of watching the reel. So she said, while I was watching this reel about this girl and her husband playing golf, I looked at the comments, and the comments were saying, oh, that's a red flag. He must be up to something. Why'd he lie to you? Feeding her all of these comments that make the problem for the girl worse, not making her feel better about her husband being late. She shared the reel with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend read his comments, and his comments were, give the guy a break. He's just enjoying a day of golf, supporting what most likely was his thought process and experience while golfing or while watching the reel. Guys, do you understand what that means? It means that this technology is so powerful. It knows what side you are on in whatever argument there is, and it's feeding to you the comments to reinforce your opinion, your passionate energy, and which actually directly translates into creating a divide. Because it's going to tell this girl why she should be so mad, and then it's going to tell the guy why he is so right and shouldn't worry. And they couldn't, as a couple, they couldn't believe what they saw through these comments. And I think this silly little golf reel is just a very tiny, 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 tiny example of what we're seeing on social media, because this also happens with much bigger, more important issues than golf. So as you are consuming content, be aware how powerful the technology is. Be aware of what you're seeing. And this is where the yogic teachings come back, and energy being so important, and you being an observer of your experience. Because while we're in it and we're reading it, if we're not the observer, we're saying, yeah, I'm right, they're wrong, creating that division and energy. But if we could zoom out, it's like, oh, this is so interesting. Oh, wow, this is programmed to show me what I believe in and to encourage my thoughts. Let me take a step back and think about the other side. Let me critically think about someone else's opinion and not get so hell-bent on what I believe, but staying in that space of neutrality, dipping into the middle, not feeding into the complete polarization of whatever it is. And like I said, this is a silly little example of a golf reel, but this is happening on a much bigger schedule, a much bigger, I can't even find the word I want to use right now, a much bigger realm on much more important topics. And I believe that if you're here, you want to bring peace to this earth. You want to be a peace holder. You want to be a peacemaker. You want to bring people together. You want to have that union of yoga within yourself, but also with community and with one another. And I think it's so important that we're aware of this so that we can lean into that space of neutrality, bring more neutrality to such a polarized planet. And on an individual level, being able to remember that what you're observing is a small piece of someone's life. You don't know everything about them. You don't know everything they eat in a day. You don't know exactly what workout they're doing. You don't know exactly what their meditation practice looks like. You don't know exactly what their family life is like. You don't know exactly what that vacation was like that they're on right now that you're seeing just a small percentage of. You don't know everything about anyone else's life. So don't let it steal joy away from your experience by looking outside of your experience and thinking something else is better. How often do we do that? And can we redirect ourselves to look at the beauty that lives right here and right now within our own life? There's beautiful things about it. There's challenging things about it. And guess what? No matter where you are in life, no matter how much success you have, no matter how much money you have, no matter how many homes you have or how many vacations you go on, we all have the beauty, the bliss, and the challenge. And it's all so much more similar than it is different. So I hope that this little share grounded you back into your lovely, beautiful reality. I hope that you could take a moment to focus on all the blessings you have in this present moment and focus in on that and step out of that space of comparison and into the space of connection and using all of the light energy that comes with connecting through social. And I want to leave you with a Yogi Bhajan quote, which is compare, compete, confuse. And anytime we're comparing ourselves or trying to compete or looking outside of our lives at someone else's, it's leading to confusion. We forget why we should be so grateful. We forget why we have so many blessings in front of us and how many blessings we have and how grateful and good it feels to have them. So just allowing yourself to remember that not everything you see on social media is real. It's time to pick our heads up off the screen, enjoy this beautiful life around us, and connect in any way that we can. And also training our minds through our meditations to be more of an observer so that we are not easily manipulated by the information or the little games that are being played in the social media realm. Thank you guys so much for joining me here, and I can't wait to see you next time. May the longtime sun shine upon you. I love you. See you next time.